Right, hi there guys, this is Scapegoat Stephen. We're going to go with another book rundown. This time we're going with Warmachine Vengeance. Again, it's the hardback version, so there you go, that is the inside cover. All this lovely detail. Go through it and we've got the credits, bit of the explanation about the fact that it's been 10 years since the start of Warmachine. So we've got the start of the fiction. This is a lot about there's a lot of setup in this book's fiction. It leads towards the end. It does intersect with the Horde's plot arc about where the Arthanc is going, or sorry, should I say it, the Warmachine arc about where the Arthanc is going, but there's a lot of crossover currently. This principally deals with a lot of what is going on from the Warmachine faction's perspective, including Harbinger and Resnick. There's a bit of fluff in there as well about Vlad. Not a huge amount, more about Striker, bits like that. So we're into the theme forces. There goes 18 pages worth of fluff. We're into the theme forces. We've got Striker, a little bit of an explanation about Warcaster units and attachments. We've got Resnick's theme force. You've got Butcher 3's theme force, Issyria, Gorshay 3, and then we're straight into Signar. So we've got fluff there, runs through 5-6 pages, and then we're straight into Striker 3. So what have we got? We've got a Speed 8, Mat 7, Defense 15, Armour 16. We've got a Range 8, Pow 14 gun, a Power Strength 14 melee weapon, Pow 10, 5 Warjack points, an interesting armour cracking related feat. When a friendly faction model makes a mount attack or a charge attack while within Striker's control area of 12, the attack automatically hits and gains an additional die on the damage roll. Lightning charge lasts for 1 round, so essentially you create a bunch of auto-hitting weapon masters for a turn. Quite tasty, I thought. Makes his theme, which revolves around taking bonus units of cavalry, quite tasty. Can also make an auto-hitting weapon master Jack, quite tasty depending on the Jack. He also has elite cadre storm lances, which gives them reform. Field Marshal Assault, so if say you take defenders or hunters or a storm wall, you get that shot once you've charged. And if he's hit by a melee attack, immediately after the attack is resolved, the attacking model suffers a Power 10 damage roll. Not amazing, but nice enough that it will cause some people a bit of trouble for melee assassinations. He's got reach on his sword, magical weapon and disruption. He's got magical weapon on his gun, and despite being called Quicksilver Blast, it has no AoE. His mount has Thunderous Impact. Basically does D3 lightning arcs when it hits, which is quite nice. His spells, he has Arcane Bolt, Chain Blast, and then the 3 nice ones, which are Escort, which is the one that gives Warjacks +2 movement and gains him +2 armour if he's within 3 inches of a Warjack. Which is also an upkeep. Fury, +3 to melee damage rolls, but -1 defense. Quite nice again on the armor cracking combined with a feat. And then Iron Aggression, which is the run, charge, slam, trample power attacks for free, and gain boosted melee attack rolls. So you've got at least one highly accurate Jack, a unit or a Jack that's going to be dealing a ton of damage between Fury and the lightning charge, and faster Jacks themselves. So all in all, I think he's quite nice. There's a lot of discussion surrounding him when he first came out about how, whilst he does armour crack, he's on a large base and therefore he's prone to assassination. That, I think, depends on how carefully you play him, and in all fairness, in Signar you have access to Shield Guard, or you could just hide him behind a storm wall, and that would be such a surprise, wouldn't it? Plus a storm wall with Iron Aggression, Field Marshal Assault, and that feat. Who doesn't want a weapon master auto-hitting Colossal? Quite tasty. So we're into the Reliant. Now this Jack hasn't been released yet. It's an interesting looking Jack. It's on the Stormclad chassis. It adds to the, here we've got a bunch of AoEs, if we move you into them you take damage, which is quite nice, especially if you can lay down enough of those AoEs from, say, this guy, Stormwall, you know, various other effects that do it in the faction, which means then you could potentially use someone like I'm forgetting his name now, Sturgis, like his feat to drag people into the auto hitting POW 10s or POW 12s, depending on which AoEs you're using. But either way, he is a Mat 7, Defense 12, Armour 18, Power and Strength 13, Rate of Fire 1, Range 12, AoE 3 gun, and a Power and Strength 17 melee weapon. He is immune to electricity. His gun does electricity, and the AoE remains in play for a round. And models entering or entering their activation suffer Power 10 damage roll. And his Pulse Hammer has a critical Thunderclap. On a critical hit against an enemy model, centre a 4-inch AoE on that model directly hit. Models in the AoE without immunity to electricity become stationary for 1 round. Situational, but I think quite useful. It is an 8-point jack, so it slides nicely into the 8-point slot. Whereas before you only really had the Hammersmith, this thing brings a gun to the table, and boosted Power 13 at range 12, quite nice. The model isn't out yet, sadly, but I'm looking forward to when it does. I'm going to assume that it's going to get a dual kit with a Stormclad, which also means I put off buying a Stormclad until this potentially happens. It's a shame it doesn't have the accumulator. I think that would have made it, just taken it that much further over the top and made it almost, not an auto include, but a very good top pick. At the moment it sits, I think, quite middle of the pack because its abilities are quite situational. But I think playtime and playtesting will provide more accurate data. You've got the Tempest Blazers, they are amazing. I've already done an unboxing video on these guys, but essentially gun mages on horses with Gunfighter, Pathfinder, Brutal Damage, Blessed, Electro Leap, magical weapons. They are speed 9 with a light cav reform, defense 15, armor 13, 5 hitboxes. They're brilliant. I expect them to show up on a regular basis in Signar armies because they're just so good. Their 3 damage types are great. Their manoeuvrability is amazing. What is not to love? So I'll gloss over them pretty quickly. We're on the Stormblade Captain. Now for 2 points, I think he's quite reasonable. He's a Jack Marshal. He's a commander with command 10. You've got Mat 8, Defense 12, Armour 16, only 5 boxes. Immunity to electricity. He has Tactician Storm Knight, which basically means they can move through each other while within his range, and ignore each other for line of sight. Storm Knight's also gain Relentless Charge whilst they're within his 10-inch command. He himself has Quick Work and Relentless Charge, Reach, Weapon Master, and a Power 14, range 8 on Rat 6 admittedly gun. So the idea is he runs through, kills something, Quick Works, and then the rest of the unit charge through him. At least I kind of get the impression that's the best way to do it. He's nice. I need to get some play time with him. I do have a model. To be honest, I'm considering getting 2 because they are field allowance 2 and they're only 2 points. And they're a nice little combat solo for 2 points. Alison Jakes, she is the Tactics Kickstarter model. I do have the model around here somewhere, although not within easy reach for this video. She's quite nice as a character journeyman. She's 3 points for 4 focus, even if you just factor that in, she's brilliant. She has parry and sprint, 2 melee weapons and a hand cannon. She's Mat 6 Rat 5, not brilliant. Speed 6, defense 15, armor 13. But to be honest, what are you going to do? She's only 3 points. She has Energizer, everyone knows what Energizer does, and Sidekick. Target Warjack in this model's battle group cannot be knocked down, pushed, placed, slammed, and gains +2 defense. While this model is base to base with the larger model, it cannot be knocked down, pushed, placed, or slammed against +2 defense. That I think is a trap because you don't want to put her next to something because she'll take the blast damage. That said, it does make most Signar Jacks defense 14. So I guess if you're going to be shooting something with blast damage, it's going to be difficult to hit. But most knockdown things you're going to boost and they will knock them both down. Oh, sorry, it won't knock them down. It will. The blast damage will boost and probably potentially take her out. Nice combos I've seen include things like her with Thunderhead, just for pushing further up with that pulse on the Energizer. you know, sidekick takes Thunderhead's defense 14, which is quite tasty, and then he can't be knocked down or moved, which is quite nice. Other options are shooty light jacks like the Hunter. You know, everyone loves the Hunter, or something along those lines, something that will benefit immensely from sidekick, because the Hunter's defense goes up crazy amounts with sidekick. So interesting. I think she will see a lot of play once the general release model comes out, which I believe it is now. I quite like the Tactics Kickstarter version, but I also like the standard version, so I might buy that for inclusion, say when I'm going to do Siege's Theme Force, where I need like 1 billion journeyman models. So yeah, I look forward to giving her some decent playtest time. So we're into the Protectorate of Menoth. Basically, to sum up their fluff, they're invading Cador inside Lael, or the occupied portion of Lael. He is a epic cavalry battle engine warcaster. The model looks amazing. I only have some Menoth models from a journeyman league we did. To be honest, I wouldn't buy him because it was only a set of models I did for a journeyman league, but I think the model wise he looks quite nice and fits very well with the aesthetic of the Protectorate. He's a Mat 7, Speed 7, Defense 13, Armour 17. He has Power Strength 13 in melee. His weakness is shooting. I'll get to that in a minute. His feat is while in his control area of 14, on top of the fact that he's such a huge base, enemy models suffer -2 defense. When an enemy model is boxed by a melee or ranged attack in Resnick's control area, centre a 4-inch AoE on the box model, then remove the model from play. Enemy models in the AoE are hit and suffer an unboostable Power 12 fire damage roll. Purge the Unbelievers last 1 round. That is a brilliant feat for clearing out infantry, especially as it states enemy model, not enemy living model. He can chain out a lot of enemy infantry with all this, and even the defense reduction is amazing unto itself. He has Terror, he has Lamentations of the Suffering, which means while he has 1 or more focus, non-magical range attacks targeting him automatically miss. That I don't think is that much of an issue, on the basis that in Warmachine lots of the factions have access to Iana and Holt, so you could just shoot him down with them. Hordes more so, although Hordes doesn't have a lot of shooty builds, outside of very niche, generally unplayed stuff. However, I think it'd be interesting to see how he plays out. I'd like to see people play him. I know someone in my meta owns him. Just got to convince the guy to actually assemble and play him, because that'll be quite interesting to play against. He also has Takedown. His melee weapon has Magical Weapon, Reach, and Flame Burst, which is when you box an enemy model, you set other models within 1 inch on fire. Spell wise, he has Creator's Wrath. So this model gains an additional die on melee attack and melee damage rolls. When making a melee attack, it ignores spell effects that add to the target's defense or armor. So you gain yourself additional die and Blessed on your reach weapon that sets people on fire when you kill people. Quite nice. Death March, +2 Mat and Vengeance on a unit, Iron Aggression, Lamentation, and the Flesh is weak. Living and undead models hit by the Flesh is weak cannot run or charge for 1 round. Quite nice. Especially because you can use it on beasts. So yeah, he has got a lot of expensive spells though. I think Hierophant is a must with him. He has 4 upkeeps, although 2 of them are unique in the sense that they're both on him. Although I'd imagine most of the time you'll be having Lamentation up. But given you've got 3 upkeeps, you've still only got 4 focus. Yeah, I think you're probably going to want to run, well, maybe a Hierophant with him. I'm not sure, because I'm not sure there'll be once you've got everything up kept, I'm not sure you'll be casting the Flesh is weak that often, but we'll see. Again, that's to do with playtesting. The Indictor, Protector Heavy Warjack. He is Defense 10, Armour 19, but he has a Shield, Sigma Armour 21, Power Strength 12, Power Strength 17. While within 5 inches of this model, enemy models cannot cast spells, channel spells, or upkeep spells. They cannot target him with spells due to Sacred Ward, and his sword has Magical Weapon and Blessed. Again, it's a very solid 8-point Warjack. A lot of people poo-pooed it because it doesn't have reach. To be honest, I think it's alright. It will come into its own when I get to one of the guys later on in this book. He's got the Flamebringers, which are also out at the moment. These are the Protectorate Light Cavalry. They do horse dancing or dressage. because they have sidestep. So they hit something, they move, they hit something, they move. They have Weapon Master and Critical Grievous. 2 melee attacks, apparent strength 9, and then a melee attack, apparent strength 10. They're fast, obviously, because they're light cav at speed 9. And they have Pathfinder. They are interesting. I don't know how often people will field them, because only defense 14, armor 15, and 5 hitboxes, you can gun them down. However, given that things such as Defender's Ward exist, defense 16, armor 17, it's a lot more palatable. I would like to see them played. I don't know how often people will be willing to break out of the standard men off builds to take them, but I would like to see them in action, because I think there's a reasonable amount of infantry clearance on them, and movement shenanigans with the sidestep and the light cav move. It's got the Exemplar Bastion Seneschal solo. He's a 3-point solo. He's a Jack Marshall Commander, Defensive Strike, Fearless, Iron Wall, which is +2 armor for each warjack he controls in base to base with him, and he can have the warjacks hit instead of him, kind of like a mini shield guard. He has Leadership Exemplar Bastions, which they heal 1 damage point when they begin an activation within his command range, which is pretty good on command 10. He's also got a Magical Weapon, Reach, Weapon Master, and Blessed. I think he's worth it purely for the healing on the Exemplar Bastions, because everyone knows how annoying their healing shenanigans are. I think he's pretty good. Is he worth taking a Jack with? Maybe a cheap Jack. Maybe something that's got Shield Guard anyway, innately. Just so then it kind of gets 2 Shield Guards. And it can also protect your caster and not be a focus strain. Maybe, I don't know. Initiate Tristan Durant. This is the character solo mini warcaster, who's the one that I think would be brilliant with the Indictor. Defense 14, armor 15, Journeyman, Magical Weapon, Reach, and Blessed. Oh, he also has True Sight, but that only affects one of his spells, or I guess the ability to charge. Fortify. That's what you take him for. Fortify and the ability to load something up with 3 focus. When target warjack in this model's battle group gains +2 armor, the affected model and friendly models base to base with it cannot be knocked down, pushed, or slammed. He sits his Jack at the front of a Jack wall and you walk up. 3 heavies, especially something like the Indictor, as mentioned previously, takes it up to armor 23. Nice. Then he's got a POW 12 range 8 sort of spell in Immolation. It's not a brilliant spell. I think mostly he's there for Fortify and tanking things up on focus. I know that's what I used him for in our local Journeyman League, and he paired very well with Krios 1 for some crazy pop and drop and throwing, like, you know, a bajillion shots into your opponent's Warlock or Warcaster. So I quite like him. I think he'll be quite nice. Again, I need to run him a bit more, perhaps, to see if I'm getting the best use out of him. So into Kador, and you're into Butcher getting yelled at in the fluff. So here he is, Butcher 3, the guy who received that limited release model that came with that amazing sort of display stand and certificate and all this sort of jazz. The standard model is now out. He's again just a massive beat stick, as he always has been. His feat basically gains him up to 6 focus points, but he can't go over his standard focus stat, and models units in his melee range automatically fail command checks for 1 round. Okay, given he does Terror, and it's although he's only command 7. Sorry, in his melee range, but he has got reach, I guess. He grants Vengeance, and he has himself and his 2 War Argus. He has Magical Weapon, Reach, and Weapon Master. He's Defense 14, Armor 18, Power and Strength 16 on his melee weapon. That's right, he's a Power and Strength 16 Reach Weapon Master. Which, coupled with the fact he has Energizer, Flashing Blade, Impending Doom, Obliteration, and Silence of Death, makes him a 1-man tank of destruction. Providing you can keep him alive, he's reasonably speedy. Speed 5 and Reach goes up to 7. Energizer takes him up to 10. The actual charge takes him up to 13. Vengeance is potentially another 3 if you kill one of his dogs. That's 16. And Impending Doom can drag things in 5 inches away. There you go. Do the math. What's that? 21-inch threat. It's quite nice. Onto his dogs. they have Terror, Circular Vision, Gang, Relentless Charge, Sprint, and Combo Strike. Now, before the most recent Argus came out for Circle, people were actually having a bit of a whinge that these were the best Argus in the game, because they were, essentially free / cheap points wise. I mean, they cost Butcher a Warjack point or two. They're reasonably good. Power Strength 11 with Gang, 2 melee attacks, Sprint, a Combo Strike, taking them to Power Strength 15, takes them to Power Strength 17 with Gang. 8 boxes, there are 14. Obviously, if you kill one, Butcher gains Vengeance, but I think that's, given that they're basically 2 free models, they're quite nice. And they can always do a little bit of damage if you need them to. So on to the Growler. Defense 10, armor 20, it's a Cador Jack. Mat 6, Rat 4. It's got a rate of fire 5, range 8, power strength 12 gun, and an open fist and a piston hammer. So it's got a hell of a lot of weaponry. The fist is power strength 15, the hammer is power strength 18. It has Gunfighter, Pathfinder. It can spend a point of focus to gain +2 movement. It has Virtuoso. When you spend a point of focus to buy additional attacks with a cannon, it fires 2 shots, hence the rate of fire 5. Its open fist is an open fist, and its piston hammer has Ram, which is the pushback knockdown ability by an inch, and it can follow it up. Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of stuff on the 9 costing Jack. The model isn't out yet, which is a shame. I think, again, this will be a reasonably nice addition, because it adds, if you can get a way of improving the rat on it, let's say Science Importance, you can get a lot of decent infantry clearance out of that. I know it's only range 8, but I think it'll be, I think you'll see it crop up because it's a nice combined arms Jack. It kills heavies in melee, but it also kills infantry at range. So you've got the Grey Lord Outriders, which is the light cav unit for Cador. These are pretty good. I've faced these guys a couple of times, and if you can kill them before they get to you, that's fine. If you can't, they've got a Spray 8, Power Strength 12 magic attack. Only magic ability 6, but if you pair them again with a Signs Importance caster or something to that effect, they become pretty nice. I think they, because their manoeuvrability, speed 9 and light cav, they can get those sprays where you need them to be. They have magical melee weapons should you need them, and you can also actually give friendly faction model with immunity cold. Makes enemy models stationary with it if they finish their activation within 2 inches of them, which is an interesting secondary spell. They also permanently have concealment, so they're defense 15, armor 15, so it's quite nice. We're on to the Iron Fang Kovnik solo. I don't know why more people don't own this guy. He's a 2-point Jack Marshall commander, no sleeping on the job, Iron Fangs, reach, weapon master, unyielding, and then his special action Shield March, which is range 5. Target friendly faction unit. If the unit is in range, it receives the Shield Wall order. Models gain +2 movement at activation. So there you go, there's your Black Dragon Iron Fang Pikeman zooming up the board. He himself is Mat 7, speed 6, defense 13, armor 15, 5 damage. But given he's pretty much only there to get stuck in when he needs to, I think that Shield March order is invaluable. So you've got Kovnik Malakov. He's the caster, the journeyman caster for Cador. 3 points cost, 4 focus, defense 14, armor 13, 8 hitboxes, fearless, sucker, which is quite reasonable to keep him alive. Given there's going to be a reasonable amount of infantry around him. Razor Wind, meh. Red Line, that's what you take him for. Target Warjack in this model's battle group gains +2 strength and speed and can run, charge, and make power attacks or tramples without spending focus. When it ends its activation, it takes D3 damage. Conquest anyone? Which follows the fluff, given that he actually delivered the conquests to the front line. But speed 6 conquest, quite tasty. I expect to see him crop up reasonably a lot amongst my local Cador players once they twig how decent he is. In fact, I might need to actually mention it to my local Cador players, because he's definitely worth a shot. And I know one of our Cador players likes running Jack heavy, So we're into Cricks. Basically, there's a lot of fluff about Gorshade speaking to the undead elves, basically. So you've got Gorshade 3. I have played a game against this guy. Underestimated his threat range, I will admit. I only won the game because my opponent was unfortunate. I was playing Ashlyn. He tried to assassinate me under my feet. I made him choose double ones to hit twice when he'd stationaried me. So he was really unlucky. He should have won the game. He did outplay me. So yeah, never underestimate this guy's threat range. His feat is centre of 3-inch AoE on any number of friendly non-Warcaster warrior models currently in his control area. Enemy models without immunity cold within one or more of these AoEs become stationary for a round. Then the models the AoEs are centred on are destroyed. That's right, destroyed, not removed from play, destroyed. He has Terror, Undead, Ghostly, Spell Vortex, a magical weapon with reach and freeze. Model hit by this weapon becomes stationary for a round unless it has immunity cold. He's defense 14, armor 17, with 7 focus, 5 Warjack points. He has Infernal Machine, Mockery of Life, Occultation, Scything Touch, and Siphon Bolt. And Siphon Bolt is the thing that enables him to do his crazy assassination run, because it only costs 2 and it steals a point of focus or fury from you when it hits. So before the damage rolls, you lose a point of armor, which is never good, or the ability to transfer. It's power and strength 12. It's only range 8, but oh look, Cricks. You know, Arc Node's out the wazoo. Because he's focus 7 and because he can make you stationary. Yeah, be wary of that. He's quite reasonable. The Inflictor, a Jack finally that Cricks players can't whinge about, because it is amazing for its points cost. It's 8 points, defense 13, armor 17, shield guard, soul drive, open fist, shield, so armor 19, reach, critical poison. There you go. There's a Jack if you ever wanted to spam something in a theme force for I forget her name now. There's not much more else to say on it really. It's mat 7. It allocates itself a point of focus during the control phase, so it's less focus intensive. It's got that critical poison, so against hordes it's a very nice beast. The shield guard is nice. The 8 points cost is brilliant. Admittedly its weapons are only power strength 13 and power strength 16 respectively, but you know, it's Cricks. It's almost as though there aren't any ways of debuffing your opponent's armour. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if you saw him crop up a lot once the model is actually out. Bane Riders, which are a Cricks cavalry, they're not light cav, thankfully. They are undead at max 6, defense 12, armour 18, power strength 13 in melee with 5 hitboxes. Curse, Bane Riders, range command, so range 8. Friendly Bane Rider models gain +2 to attack rolls against cursed models, so they effectively become mat 8. They are ghostly, so they don't really care about scenery, that's it, terrain. They have reach, so they have an effective threat range of 12, and they have brutal charge, +2 to charge attack damage rolls, so they're essentially mat 8, power strength 15 if you curse the enemy model unit you're charging. Quite nice. I hope to see them because they're reasonably resilient as far as Cricks models go. And then you got armor 18. Actually put somewhat higher base armor than the Inflictor. Okay, the Inflictor has the shield, so you up to armor 19. But yeah, they're quite nice. Again, I've faced against them before. They are highly accurate. They kick out a ton of damage. I think personally, brutal charge and curse is better than going weapon master, because it's a stable +2 damage as opposed to, you know, a rolled extra dice, which may come up as a 1 or a 2, I guess. Weapon Master, it's more reliable, although I get that Weapon Master allows better spikes. Scarlet Commander, this is an attachment for Mechanothralls or Bilethralls. He is a battle wizard with magic ability 6. He has a range 10, power 12 Darkfire attack. He can disbind enemy upkeeps on this model or unit, and he gets souls, which he can use to boost attack or damage rolls, or bind attacks. Yeah. magical weapon and reach. It's 1 point. Increases your unit of Mechamithril size by 1 and gives it a greater command. For 1 point, I think it's probably worth it. Plus it gets you a magical weapon in there just in case you're coming against other cricks. This is Akos, Scourge of the Meridius, or Meridius, however you want to pronounce that. He has a harpoon with drag. He's on a small base though, so you can only drag people in it. He's only range 6. Power strength 12 melee weapon. Both of them are magical weapons. He has jump though, so he can move 6, jump 5. Stealth. And he has escort, as talked about earlier, and Deathbringers, which is while in his control area, the melee weapons of models in his battle group gain grievous wounds. Which is alright, I guess. I think mostly you want to be taking Stalkers with him, which have grievous wounds anyway. However, I think he's quite nice, even just as a combat solo. I think he can get work done on his own, given his 4 focus, 14, 14. 5 hitboxes. He can probably clear out a reasonable amount of infantry, maybe, depending on how close they are to him. Or he can, you know, go solo hunting and take out key solos, which is quite nice. So into Retribution. Lots of fluff there. We've got Assyria, Sibyl of Dawn. Now she, having again played against her, is very good. She's lacking any form of offensive damaging attacks. However, she more than makes up for it. She's defense 16, armor 13, so you want to keep her away from the front line, but she has 8 focus. Her feat, Dawn's Light, whilst in her control area, friendly faction models gain true sight and gain 1 additional die on attack and damage rolls. For each of these rolls, you choose which of the dice rolled to be discarded. Dawn's Light lasts for 1 turn. So there you go. Rep now hose cricks. In fact, they hose a lot of people, because between her feat and Mage Hunter Strike Force, your caster just has nowhere to hide. She has ancillary attack. I'm sure it's probably been discussed on the internet, but ancillary attack with something like, oh, I don't know, Hyperion's main gun. Quite tasty. She's got Arcane Vortex to protect herself and others against spells. She has Flight and True Sight herself. She has Admonition as a spell, so she can run away. She has Blinding Light, which is an offensive spell. Target enemy warrior model unit can't make ranged or magic attacks and suffers -2 defense for 1 round. So between the defense drop and if it survives when you then pepper it. Crusader's Call. Models beginning a charge on her control area gain +2 movement. Inviolable Resolve. Target for any model unit gains +2 armor and fearless. And Velocity. Spend up to 3 focus. Move 2 inches for each focus spent. So she can run away if she needs to. Between Crusader's Call and Inviolable Resolve, Mage Hunter, the melee Mage Hunter attack people, and Halberdiers become horrific with her and become so fast, allow you to get up the board pretty quick. Imperatus, he's the Death Bunny. He's pretty good from what I can read into him. There was a thing on the forums that someone did to work out how much it would take to kill him, because he does come back, and I'll get to that in a minute. Essentially, you need to send in something that's fully buffed out to be able to kill him. So he's got a rate of fire 1, power and strength 14 gun. He's mat 7, rat 6, defense 13, armor 18. He's got 200 power and strength 17 melee weapons. He has a Phoenix Field, which is 12 hitboxes, which regenerates d6 every turn. When he dies, you basically, when he's disabled, or any point during the maintenance phase, you can remove up to 1 damage point from each of its systems and remove all damage points from its force field, which makes it last much longer than you'd expect. It has Sidestep, it has Special Issue Virus, so that's right, you can put it in Virus 2's Theme Force if you wanted to do that variant of Griffin Spam. Perhaps he could be your 1 heavy you need. His gun has magic damage type fire, magical weapon and flame burst, and his weapons have reach, continuous effect fire and magical weapon should anything somehow survive him getting stuck into it. Again, very nice Jack. 12 points. Houseguard Thane, oh brilliant, for a 2-point solo. It's defense 15, defense 13, armor 15. Sorry, a weapon master, power strength 9 melee weapon, a range 10, power 10 gun, commander, fearless, desperate pace, house guard as a star action, firing solution, house guard as a star action, which basically means you ignore camouflage and stealth during its activation, and inspiration, house guard. So within his command 9, you can drop out all the buffs. If you're taking house guard models, I don't see why you wouldn't have 2 of them, because you take a unit of riflemen and a unit of halberdiers. Between desperate pace and crusader's call, halberdiers become stupid fast under him and Assyria. Mage hunter, infiltrators, pathfinder, stealth, arcane assassin, gang, and mage killer on their weapons, which means they gain additional die on damage rolls against models with a spellcaster or magic ability. They have 2 power strength 9 attacks, max 6, defense 14, armor 11. So they're relying on the stealth to keep them alive. But again, they're speed 7, so pretty fast. Again, tie that into, as previously mentioned, Assyria's Crusader's Call to give them another +2. Means that they're charging effective 12 inches. Quite nice. And then Iris 3, who is a Retribution Epic Character Unit Attachment. She is defense 16, armor 12, mat 7, rat 9. She can attach to any Mage Hunter unit, so you've either got the Strike Force or the Infiltrators. She has Officer, Pathfinder, Stealth, Arcane Assassin, a new rule called Arcane Hemorrhage. So when this model hits another model with an attack, the model hit loses the focus and fury points on it, and upkeep spells it cast immediately expire. So if you shoot someone's Warcaster or Warlock, all of their upkeeps that they put out now drop. She grants Fearless, she grants Reform, she gives the unit advanced deployment, and she has Quick Work. She has Weapon Master on all of her weapons, so on her crossbow and on her 2 melee weapons. So you could, in theory, charge her in, kill something, and get a Quick Work shot off on their caster if you're lucky, and remove their caster's ability to upkeep, or to have moved their upkeep spells, and lose all their focus or fury. So, still good for setting up assassinations. Pretty tasty as far as attachments go, and it's right that she's finally returned to the Retribution as a caster. Ilara, Tyro of the 3rd Chamber, so Journeyman caster. I'll be honest, I've looked through her rules so many times, and I'm sure there's something in here that makes her good, but I'm having trouble to spot it. Defense 15, armor 14. Other than the fact that she can just power something with 3 or 4 focus a turn. She had Sidestep, only 2 melee weapons at power strength 10. When she kills a living enemy warrior model, she can allocate a point of focus to a warjack in her control area, as long as it's in her battle group. She has an upkeep spell that grants countercharge and convection. So yeah, overall she's alright. She's alright, she's not terrible, but I'm not sure personally if she'll make it into a lot of lists. I'd like to see, one of the guys at our club has her, so I'd like to actually see him play with her a bit, just to see what she's like. So we're into mercenaries. Now, I was a little bit of whinging by some mercenaries because there's no new mercenary caster in this. But to be honest, we are a sub-faction, so we can't really complain that we don't get as many releases as everyone else, I guess. However, we did get this. We got the Gordson Earthbreaker, which is the Dwarf Colossal. If you haven't heard about this thing, or you haven't played against this thing yet, I suggest you do some reading after you've listened to this. It is horrific. If you're going to any sort of tournament, no doubt you will spot at least one somewhere. It has 2 range 10 torpedoes, which are an AoE 4, rate of fire 1 pound 13. They ignore cover and the +2 defense bonus for elevation, and they then get to pick an ammo type. So either the 4-inch AoE remains in play as rough terrain, or on a direct hit against an enemy model, all models hit are knocked down. Yay! It then has 2 range 12 pound 13 rapid fire guns, which basically means you get D3 initials, so it's got a lot of power 13s. It's rat 5, defense 8, armor 20. It has 2 power strength 20 melee weapons. Now, what makes this guy so good is that every single dwarf caster buffs it in some way. Red line on Durgan, so it becomes speed 6, power strength 22. Gorton makes it power strength 24 in melee. And then Osram has Snipe to increase the torpedo's range to 14, plus it can move 4, so it's an 18-inch threat. And Thor is obviously in play. Thor can give you boosted damage rolls and everything, so you knock someone down and shoot them to death. That's basically because it's such a good assassination enabler. I mean, there you go, that's all of its boxes as well. So, it can only be controlled by a Rulic Warcaster. I guess it's one benefit. Tactical Arcanist Core. These are a Defense 11, Armour 16, 5 hitboxes, immunity to fire, Battle Wizard with Magic Ability 7. So they have a range 10 AoE 3, power 13 magic attack that causes fire damage on a critical hit. Models suffer continuous fire. Has a 3-inch AoE cloud, basically like Gorman's Smoke Bomb, and a Vortex of Flames. This model gains Righteous Flames for 1 round. An enemy model that ends its activation within 2 inches of this model with Righteous Flames suffers the fire continuous effect. As long as they're not killing you, I guess. That's the least used one, to be honest. I use Flame Blast a lot with them. I don't actually use Smoke Bombs as often as people on the internet claim you would use it, but can't complain. Flame Blast, when this model boxes an enemy model with this weapon, enemy models within 1 inch suffer the fire continuous effect. Their only letdown is obviously their speed 4, but they add more magical weapons into Mercenaries, which is always a good thing. They're reasonably sturdy at Defense 11, Armour 16 with hitboxes, given they're only 4 points for the 3 of them. I like them. I've used them to great effect with Ashlyn. I need to give them some tries with some of the other Warcasters at some point, but Ashlyn for their Flame Burst crits are lovely. I did make someone cry when most of their unit of Black Dragon Ironfang Pikemen got removed off the board due to continuous fire. That was lovely. But yeah, they are pretty good for a 4-point unit. Rallic Maulclaw, the Ironmonger, mercenary minion Troll King character solo. So he'll work for Crix, Signar and Kador, and Blindwater and Thornfall. He is a Jack Marshal with Tough. He has Assault, Drive, Hog Wild, Mechanically Adept, so he can repair everything, and Repair 8. On a 2.8 damage box, Defense 13, Armour 15 solo, with power 14 gun and a power 13 melee weapon. And Assault, obviously. I think he's pretty good. I need to actually see what jacks he would be worth taking with. I personally think he does better in minions than he does in... oh, sorry, worked for Trollbloods as well. That bit I managed to gloss over. I think you do better in Hordes than you would in especially in Mercenaries, because we have Shield Guards. Signar has Shield Guard. Crix has Shield Guards. Basically, I'm saying take him with a Vanguard for the Shield Guard. You know, it's a 7-point investment for a pretty good Jack and a reasonably good Jack Marshal. Yeah, I think he's alright. His artwork's very nice, as you can see over here. There are other things, admittedly, I would take in Mercenaries before him. But I think he's a nice middle ground. He's not too ridiculous, he's not terrible, he's a nice middle ground solo, I think. And we've got Gaston Cross. Should you ever wish to take the Galleon in Signar or Protectorate, he's your man. He can be taken by all bar the Searforge Merc contracts. Again, he's Mat and Rat 5, Defense 14, Armour 14, Command 7, 4 Focus. He has Dodge, so if you miss him, he can advance. He can move 2 inches. He has Flank with Warjacks. He has Scavenger Vanguard, reduce the cost of Vanguard Warjacks in his model battle group by 1, and his gun, which is a range 12, rate of fire 2, pound 12, and magical weapon. He has Fire Group, which means everyone gets +2 range, and Moving Shadows, which is effectively ranged sprint. So if he kills something, or Jax kills something with guns, they then get an advance, which is quite nice. To be honest, I've lately been testing him running the Galleon with a different Merccaster. Ostrom, in fact, with the Earthbreaker, just to see how the dual Colossal list stacks up. It's an interesting build. He's a lot less fragile than people claim he is. But I'm enjoying giving him a go. I need to give him a go with some of the sort of smaller jacks, I think, as well. Vanguards he does especially well with, I feel, because of his reduced cost. So yeah, he's quite an interesting one. Interestingly as well, in the fluff, that is actually a quad iron, not a dual barrel hand cannon. So that'll be interesting to see when he becomes a fully fledged Warcaster, if he'll actually get the quad iron 4 attacks, which would be lovely if he does. because obviously he'll be a Warcaster and he'll have a decent rat. So we're into the model gallery. There you go, 2 alternate heads for Iris 3. These are the other sort of various models. There's all the cavalry in this book. And then as usual you're into the painting guide at the back. Right, now we're into the fluff at the back. If you don't know, turn off your ears for a few seconds already. Big plot twist. Terminus gets killed by Striker 3. Right, that's done. Basically, and then there's the aftermath of Signar now have the Arthanc and are taking it to a secret research facility that is really near the Legion's headquarters, near the Legion's invasion army at the, I think it's in the Wormwall Mountains, I believe. There you go, a nice bit of artwork of Striker 3 versus Terminus. And that is the book. So that's Vengeance. Brings a lot of interesting stuff to the table, I feel. Especially if you're, well, I think most factions there got something nice. Rhett got a hell of a lot of nice stuff in this book. Mercenaries, whilst we got very few models, very nice. A lot of the newer Jack chassis, it'll be interesting to see them play once the models come out, because I feel that all of them are reasonably strong in their own regard, especially depending on which Warcaster you put them with. So that was my look at Vengeance. This is Scapegoat Stephen, and I will speak to you again.